We're live. Okay, this is our final presentation for A Team for Business 343, Social Processes and Organizations. Our group members consist of myself, Melissa Gonzalez, Heather Frankie, Taylor Bagnot, and Fernando Camacho.
Our presentation will cover Chapter 2, Performance and Productivity. The essential items that we are going to be discussing is team performance, essential conditions for successful team performance, enhancing successful team performance, performance criteria, and team performance equation. The team performance consists of the team concept, which is the organizational context where staff need leadership to provide them the tools they need to complete the task. It consists of team design, where the team needs to be provided whatever it is they need to whether it's knowledge, information in respect to know-how, and the tools that are needed to complete the task. And the culture pertains to the personality of the team, which must be that of the entire organization. We can't have one culture that conflicts with another culture within the organization. On this slide, the graph displayed is from the course textbook found in Chapter 2. Team context is where the team does the work. Say, for example, my team works for Starbucks, so the work they do inside the store, inside the cafe, taking orders, pouring drinks, making drinks for customers. The design of the team in terms of its internal functioning and the culture of the team is what the makeup of the team context is. The next part of that is the organizational context. Again, that's where the staff need the leadership to provide them the tools to complete the task. For example, you can't brew coffee without water. The team won't be able to brew coffee without coffee beans. And you also know how to use the equipment. This is where leadership needs to provide these type of tools in order for the team to be successful. And again, with the culture, no one can go in expecting to be, say, a waitress or a bartender when that is not what the job entails. There's also the shared expectations of success, which is what fosters team effectiveness, where norms exist but aren't an organizational requirement. Say, for example, the team relies on each other for help. You can't have someone who's consistently absent or constantly getting in people's way when they're trying to handle a big rush, say during the lunch hour or what is considered to be happy hour.
Some of the essential conditions for creating a team are relevant expertise, which is where you must know what is going on and how you are doing everything, and also have the KSAs, which are knowledge, skills, and abilities to accomplish the specified task. There's engaged and motivated, which is a person must be a people's person. You have to have good customer service, and you need to understand what the norms of your team are, such as how certain tasks are accomplished. Like, for example, at Starbucks, how certain people are on the bar, how they run their routines for creating drinks, and who is better at what position when you're on the floor. And then coordination, which is also being able to execute the tasks by coordinating with other team members, such as taking the orders, who's better at making the drinks and handing the drinks out, and who's better at taking out the trash. So it's just whatever needs to be coordinated between all the team members. For relevant expertise, this chart is showing flow, and this actually shows the precise point between boredom of a task and the intense pressure. This is also known as the psychological state in which a person is highly engaged in a task without engagement, there is no flow. This also really relates to stress versus challenge, and this is where a challenge is you see the challenge as an opportunity for self-growth, and the stress is where anxiety kicks in and you see it as a threat. Like, for example, my first time opening as a shift lead, I saw it as a challenge to learn how to grow and take on new tasks, but then stress kicked in because I hadn't been properly trained for the position, excuse me. And that's when I was able to, like, once I notified it as a stress factor instead of a challenge factor, I was able to gather myself back together and recreate it into a challenge factor. Under engaged and motivated, the Kohler effect is a motivational factor, and it is where the less capable team member tends to work harder near the end of a project or a race. And for example, the reason why we have a picture of swimmers is on a relay swim team, there are usually 4 people, and each person has their own specific place in the relay. The starter person has to kick off the race, get them as far ahead as they can, and then the person at the end is supposed to either push them into first place or basically pick up the slack that the 3 people before them left behind. So it's where the person at the end, or the less capable team member, the underdog, works harder to help the team along at the end. And then there's social loafing, where at times members of a team will not work as hard as they do alone. The bigger the teams are, the easier it is for certain members to fall behind and essentially have the team carry most of their weight instead of helping them along in the production process. And then for free riders, there's 3 different types. It's the diffusion of responsibility, which means the bigger the team, the less identifiable the individual contributions become. And then reduced sense of self-efficiency. The team members don't feel that their contributions are as valuable or as meaningful as they might have in a smaller group. They don't believe that their contribution will show how much effort that they put into the project. And then lastly, the sucker aversion, which is everyone wants to avoid being taken advantage of, so no one wants to be left doing all the work and getting little to no credit. So this is where everyone kind of slacks off because they don't want to be the person putting in the most work, but they also don't want to be the person putting in the least amount of work.
Oh. Sorry. Sitting here waiting for this next slide to pop up. Okay, so this slide is enhancing team performance, where increased identifiability lets others see each other's contribution. If if you have, let's say for example, a sales team, and you have a board where there's weekly sales that are posted at the end of the week or at the beginning of the next week that shows each sales member's numbers. Um, it, this is basically increasing identifiability because it's allowing the entire team to see what each person's sales figures are for that week or the previous week. The next would be promote involvement. Which means make the task involving, make it attractive, make it interesting. Um, Leaders in this aspect must show enthusiasm when explaining procedures and how they affect the overall process. If leaders are dull in introducing these tasks and goals in a monotone voice, then that begins to transfer to the employee. Uh, Rewarding performance, rewarding team members for their performance. They don't necessarily have to be monetary or any kind of financial gain. However, plaques, simple recognitions, emails company-wide, messages uh, on the bulletin board, it helps employees feel appreciated. Um, their efforts are being acknowledged, so it lets them know that people are noticing their work. They're noticing that they're actively participating in the organization, in reaching its goals. The next one would be to strengthen cohesion. Now, this has been talked about the entire course. When team members feel they have the support of the leaders, the performance tends to increase, whether it's individually or as a team. When everyone feels supported, they begin to contribute more. They gain a sense of motivation. Teams with higher cohesiveness tend to work harder and not allow others to carry the entire load, especially of those who choose not to provide any or little effort. Finally, increasing responsibility. This allows for teams to set a few of their own goals. It gives them a little bit it gives them a sense of leadership. It empowers them. And with that, they're less likely to loaf, as described in the previous slides.
Performance criteria. Hackman identified 3 key criteria in his model of group effectiveness: productivity, cohesion, and learning. Grunfeld suggested that they add a 4th one, which was integration. Productivity is arguably the most important measure of team success. For my store, we currently are trying to strive for the fastest window times, and without cohesion and learning, we wouldn't achieve productivity in hitting those goals. Cohesion is the second major criteria on team performance. Does the team enjoy working together, and how can the team members learn from each other? Team cohesion is the solid ground base to having a strong team. In addition to the functioning of the team as a whole, learning is also important. Are we learning the correct ways to certain processes and certain procedures? Integration is another prospect that is key to larger organizations. The performance equation. The performance equation consists of 4 critical measures of team performance and 3 key ingredients for team success placed in a single equation. So task demands determine both the resources needed for optimal performance and how to combine the resources. Resources are the skills, abilities, and tools possessed by the team members. The process is the way that the team uses those resources to meet task demands. Synergy refers to everything that can and does go better in a team compared with individuals working independently. Performance threats refer to everything that can go wrong in a team. AP is actual productivity. So we have the prudential productivity plus synergy minus any performance threats gives us our actual productivity. And this is our works cited page. We got the picture from the internet of the swim team, and then we also used the textbook.